Now, of course, pipes were heard in the Donnybrook area long before this studio was built. Donnybrook was famous for its fair, and which was held for hundreds of years up to the middle of the 19th century. But Seán White, Seán has written a lot about old times and old places around Dublin, indeed all over the country. And Seán, but before we get onto the fair, where we're sitting now in the studios in Donnybrook, this area, there were lots of big houses around here.
Yes, Donnybrook was a distinguished suburb, particularly for Dublin merchants. In fact, on the studio site here, the house is still beyond, Montrose was owned by the famous Jemiesons, the whisky people, and in Notley Lane beyond, where the Ellen Park golf course is now, there were the Rose, also the distillers, and quite a number of other distinguished families around here. Mostly, I would think of the more wealthy Dublin merchant class. This was, I say, a select suburb on the river, and of course it still is a select suburb.
Thank you very much. But you know, getting back to the fair, obviously because it was so select, the gentry around here weren't too pleased with the fair.
No, in the 19th century, the gentry generally, and they became evangelical in religion, and they want to impose this evangelism, particularly on the lower classes. And they didn't like the way Donnybrook Fair was going on at all. The fair had been founded in 1204 to award the citizens of Dublin for their efforts in building the walls of Dublin, and it had gone on. Its heyday probably was the 18th and the beginning of the 19th century, and it is described by numerous visitors to Ireland. The Mr. and Mrs. S.C. Hall saw it, and various other people, and gradually they began to emphasize the element of riot and ruction that was going on there, and so the gentry locally clubbed together, and they finally bought out the patent from the owners. The fair, by the way, took place down beside the Dodder, just opposite Donnybrook Church, where Bective rugby grounds are now.
Well, we're going to hear a song about it in a moment, but didn't writers, you know, even foreign visitors coming to Ireland always liked to visit the fair?
Oh yes, it was the equivalent then of the Royal Dublin Horse Show now almost. And one particular one, Prince Puckler Muskau, a German prince, came, and he wrote about the fair as he saw it in a letter. He says, Dublin, August the 24th, 1828. I rode out again today for the first time to see the fair at Donnybrook near Dublin, which is a kind of popular festival. Nothing indeed can be more national. There were many hundred tents, all ragged like the people, and adorned with tawdry rags instead of flags. Many contented themselves with a cross on a hoop. One had hoisted a dead and half-putrid cat as a sign. The lowest sort of dancers and posture masters exercised their toilsome vocation on stages and planks, and dressed in shabby finery, dancing and grimacing in the dreadful heat until they were completely exhausted. In Studio One, people must often have felt this too. A third part of the public lay, or rather rolled about, drunk. Others ate, screamed, shouted and fought. The women rode about, sitting 2 and 3 upon an ass, pushed their way through the crowd, smoked with great delight, and coquetted with their sweethearts.
No, none of that sort of thing around Donnybrook today. But thank you very much, Seán White. And now, instead of talking about it, we're going to hear a song about Donnybrook Fair. It's a 19th century song, obviously, and a great man for Dublin songs to sing it, and a man indeed who has written a lovely little book of the songs of Dublin, Frank Hart. Frank.
To Donnybrook steer all you sons of Parnassus, poor painters, poor poets, poor newsmen and knaves, to see all the fun there that all fun surpasses, the sorrows and sadness of green-haired slaves. Oh, Donnybrook, jewel full of mirth is your quiver, where all flock from Dublin to gape and to stare at two elegant bridges without any river, success to the humours of Donnybrook Fair. There are tinkers and nailers and beggars and tailors and singers of ballads and girls of the sieve, with Barrack Street rangers, the known one and strangers, and many that no one can tell how they live. There are horsemen and walkers and likewise fruit hawkers and swindlers, the devil himself that would dare. There are pipers and fiddlers and dandies and diddlers, all joining the humours of Donnybrook Fair. There are dogs a-dancing and wild beasts a-prancing with neat bits of painting, red, yellow and gold. Toss players and scramblers and showmen and gamblers, pickpockets in plenty both of young and old. There are brewers and bakers and jolly shoemakers with butchers and porters and men that cut hair. There are mountebanks grinning while others are sinning to keep up the humours of Donnybrook Fair. Brisk lads and young lasses can there fill their glasses with whiskey and send a full bumper around. Dance it off in a tent till their money's all spent and spin like a top till they rest on the ground. Oh, Donnybrook capers, the sweet catgut vapours, they bother the vapours and drive away care. And what is more glorious, there's not so uproarious. Hurrah for the humours of Donnybrook Fair.